What's going on, guys? Hey, welcome back to season 2 of the L3 Perspective.
And I was like, your teacher's there to teach you algebra and math. My job is to teach you how to survive and to help guide you as much as I can.
I was thinking about one of the surveys. 2 out of the 3 of our topics that really stood out regarding men in our viewpoint was love and leadership. This is the L3 Perspective where we talk life, love, and leadership. We really dove into the piece of life and leadership.
Like, love, share. These conversations are the ones that really affect everyday life for all of us. And ultimately, we do this for you to begin with. Keep listening. We appreciate y'all who are rocking with us into season 2. Because like I said, we do it for y'all.
Yes. What's going on, guys? Hey, welcome back to the L3 Perspective. We're back with season 2. This is a platform where we talk about life, where we talk about love, we talk about leadership. Always looking forward to bringing value to the community. Cam, I'm looking forward to today's conversation. Man, got a chance to connect with my man over here.
Hey.
Go ahead, Cam. I'm going to toss it over to you.
Hey, y'all. As you already know, like, love, share, subscribe. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. At the end of the day, we do it for y'all. So if you don't tell us what you want to watch or listen to, then we don't know how to, navigate them spaces. So that being said, today we have our man, Terry Griffin.
Let's go.
We appreciate you, bro. So Terry reached out to us, and we're so glad that he did, because for the Bay Area, he has so much to offer, and we're really excited to share his story, what he's doing, the future plans that he has, and collaborations that we're going to be on.
For sure.
Yes, sir. Yes. And so that being said, Terry, please tell the people who you are.
So what's up, everybody? I am Terry Griffin. I am Terry Griffin on all platforms. But I am a business coach. I've been in the educational field, been a teacher, running after school program, and a basketball coach here in the Bay Area. So education has always been my field. But right now I'm in the entrepreneur space, teaching entrepreneurs how to brand and market themselves for social media. People are making millions on social media, and I'm trying to teach people how to get that.
Yeah, I feel you. So there was a video that Terry did recently. I seen on your Instagram, and it was like, I think it was like your phone's ringing, and it's like some bullshit or something. Or you said something like, you had a flashlight, and you're like, hey, is that you? Oh yeah, that's you. That said you was gonna post today, and you didn't. And it was so simple, but I was like, dang, that was good though, because that's real.
Yeah.
Like, how many people was like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, and that's something we discuss a lot on the show. Is like these shoulda, coulda, woulda type deals.
Yeah.
You feel me?
For sure.
So, how did you get started, or what made you make that pivot?
Right. So, as a basketball coach, I was trying to fundraise money.
Yeah.
And so what I did was doing events like, all right, parents' night out, teachers' night out, come. And so I started doing that, and I was doing it at a restaurant. And the restaurant was seeing events that I was doing. They was like, hey, how would you feel about coming here and throwing more events, to help us with more traction at our restaurant?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, bet.
I'll do it. So I'm throwing events, using social media, events, parties popping, and then next thing you know, other people ask me, hey, how you doing? Can you help me with social media? Can you help me with my social media?
Yeah.
And so I'm just helping people for free.
Facts.
I didn't know it was a business then.
So
I'm just helping people. One night, man, I was with my wife, and we were watching this movie night. My cousin called me. He had a clothing line. He started asking me about business ideas and social media and stuff like that. So I paused the movie night, hour and a half talking to my cousin, giving him all this game, all this information. And then when I got done, my wife looked at me like, don't do that again.
You just did all that for free.
You just did all that for free and ruined our movie night. And then I was like, you right. Let me figure out how to turn this into a business.
Shout out to Vince.
Yeah. So let me figure out how to make this into a business. And then I went online, did some researching, took a couple courses.
Yeah.
Never looked back.
Yep.
Never looked back.
And that's that struggle as an entrepreneur initially, because you want to give the game because you're like, I want, like what we always told, like, giveth, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that does not pay the bills. Yeah. And that's something I I was told the same thing about podcasting. So I had a buddy of mine who called me. I remember I told you about this. He called me and he said, "Hey, I just want to sit on a call with you, learn about podcasts." I said, "Cool." Told him about it. He's like, "Bet." I said, "Why do you ask? You're going to start a podcast?" He said, "Oh, this lady's going to hire me to run a podcast for her. And she's going to pay me $1,000 an episode." And there wasn't like, "And by the way, I want to bring you into it." Oh yeah. I mean, he's like, there was no like, "I want to bring you into it," or like, "Hey," and honestly, I don't think it ever happened, but just in that moment, I remember I was telling G, I said, "Bro, I got so much up here that I just be throwing, bro." And I'll give you a little bit, like I'll give you a little taste. Most of it's mindset stuff, like, hey, if you're gonna do it, be consistent.
For sure.
If you're gonna do it, talk to your co-host, on a daily basis and stuff like that.
It's still value.
It's still value.
Yeah.
But the blueprint, that's gonna cost you.
For sure. Yeah. And you know what? I think that's so real. I'm reading. So I have a community of entrepreneurs, and we have a book club.
Yeah.
Right now, we're reading Alex Hermazi.
$100 million
lead.
What's that video I sent you the other day? So I sent him and my team a video, one of the most recent videos from Alex Hermazi, and it's like it's the 6 steps he learned over the last. It's like a 45-minute video. I said I want everybody to watch this.
Yeah, he's really dope.
Yeah,
right. He's really dope, and we read the $100 million offer, and so now we're reading the $100 million lead. And one of the things that he talks about is like, your free stuff needs to be better than other people's paid stuff.
Correct.
Giving out the game and stuff like that it make people like know you but trust you.
Correct.
And they be like, "Oh, this is so good that what's next?" And they'll believe in paying you that it will be beneficial to them because the free stuff works so well.
Yeah, correct.
So just figuring out like what stuff to give for free and what stuff to charge.
So question with that, because there are so many people who, number one, I think it's a challenge for them to get value, because everyone wants to be in this social media influencer space. What are some of the things that you coach your community, or you guys may talk about in your community regarding like, okay, what separates us from just the average and being consistent? Like, what separates you guys, or what are some of the things that you guys talk about in your community?
You know what? I call it the big C word. It's like a cuss word, the big C word. And you said it is consistency.
Yeah.
That is the most important thing. Consistency is the only cheat code.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just aren't consistent.
Nope.
They're not consistent. And if you aren't, you already beating 90% of the competition.
Facts.
Because if you go, I want it to be, every time you go on social media, I want you to see my face. Every time I want you to get tired of me, like, God, every time I open Instagram, I see Terry.
Yeah. Yo, I told him, I said, Terry emailed me the other day at 2 o'clock in the morning. I think I emailed you back at 3 o'clock.
You
He
did.
ain't about to be me.
You did. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
What's up, dog?
Right. So it's just consistency, man. And I just tell people that, and we as entrepreneurs don't understand it. And it's just like, but it's so simple. All you got to do is show up. If you show up, you're beating a lot of people in your field.
Bro.
Just show up.
Yeah.
I had a conversation the other day with someone. They're not so much, they don't have an entrepreneur mindset, but they're really good at their career, right? And so yesterday we were talking, and I was just like, they mentioned something about being, what did they say? They mentioned about, I tied it into excellence, because they were just like, hey, I don't want to just come and just kind of give my all and then I get burnt out. And I said, well, one, you have to know your limitations. You got to know what you have to take a knee. But more importantly, don't lower your bar of excellence just to settle for the average, right? And I feel like too many people do, especially as entrepreneurs, like they just want to run. But the community, like you mentioned, the community that they're in are folks who don't have any aspirations to go to the next level, whatever that looks like. Folks that are complainers, folks that are okay with just being in that season of just complaining.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when you talk about your community, it made me think about that, because while you could be as an entrepreneur, you can be so self-driven, like it's just as important to have that team or have that community that you bounce ideas off with, so that you can keep executing. And sure. I mean, that's important. So
yeah, your proximity is everything. And I didn't really realize that. You think the people that you grow up with, the people that you're around all the time. I ain't been my friend for years. Like these my people.
Right.
But then you got to think about, we see so many like athletes, rappers, and stuff like that still hanging around the same people that they've been with since they was young, and how it's like detrimental to them, right?
Correct.
Just because someone is your friend don't mean that they need to be around you 24/7, or they are the ones that's going to help you get to where you're trying to go. And so your proximity is so important, because just think about all the sayings, birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
You hang around 5 broke people, you're going to be the 6th one, right? All of that stuff is cliche, but it's so true.
It's hella true.
Because if I get $100,000 and I'm hanging around the wrong people, we're going to blow that $100,000.
100%.
But if I'm hanging around the right people, I'm with you guys, I'm like, listen, I got $100,000.
Yeah, let's make it a million.
Right.
Okay, this is what we can do to grow that money. But everybody don't have that mindset. So it's like, oh, $3 million? Okay, that's the type of conversation I want to have. Right? Because now you like, okay, we can do this, we can do that. You can invest it in this. Like, the conversation that we have is just different. And so that's why your proximity is so important, because they can either help you grow or they can help you fall back.
Take notes. Take notes.
So that's why I just think that just being around the right people is just so important. That's why I have the community, because the resources, the accountability, the just the information, just the conversation, like all of that can really make a difference in your journey as an entrepreneur. Yeah.
100%. And that's something I think we talked about on one of the other episodes or one of the first episodes was, I was in a place where I pretty much befriended my longest friend, my second longest friend ever. And it was because of decisions that were made. And it was actions that could have very negatively impacted my life, like literally took my paycheck out of my hand. And I was like, yo, what are you doing? Like, you know how serious this is. And there was a lack of, honestly, just accountability for it. He's just like, oh, I want to see what the big deal is. And I'm like, you don't see the big deal. You almost ruined my 16-year military career over, and then that hurt. I remember telling people, it was like, we talk about the mourning of, like when someone dies, but we don't talk about the mourning that comes when you lose a really long friend. And you have to kind of be that person, like kind of like Tyler Perry was saying in that one quote where he was like, your life is kind of like a rocket. And the people, only people aren't supposed to be at a certain altitude for so long, and then they got to break off. And that I saw that quote during that time, and it hit because it was real.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because everybody's not going through the transformation that you're going through, right? I like to use the example of like walkie-talkies. Yeah. If you have a walkie, I have a walkie, and we're both on frequency 2. But as I'm growing, my frequency is going up. If I'm on frequency 5 and you're still on 2, our communication isn't the same. You can't hear me. Yeah. And so if I'm growing mentally and I'm growing better as an entrepreneur and you're staying the same, the conversation that we have isn't the same anymore. Isn't beneficial to me. And sometimes we just have to understand, it's like, some people we got to let go. Right. They're not growing. And because of the time that we feel that we've had or invested with people, that we can't let them go. And even though it may be hard, it's like,
it's necessary.
It's necessary sometimes.
Totally necessary.
And so it's just like, I would love to, but you ain't on the same height as me no more. Like, we just can't, it just ain't working out no more.
It's time to play that Backstreet Boys.
Speaking of frequency, so as you were talking about that, it made me think about my wife, right?
Okay.
As an entrepreneur and balance and all that. And just kind of you mentioning in the beginning, your spouse, as an entrepreneur, is it challenging, or what challenges or what tips could you give someone that may be in a relationship, may have a spouse, but they're in the entrepreneur world? What has helped you get to your next level
in the relationship? Number one, having support. I think, if you're with someone and they don't understand, or I know that's a tough one. That's a tough one, right? I don't want to get no advice and be like, you got right. You got
You're on the hot seat. That's what David says. You're on the hot seat.
Yeah. I don't want nobody to be like, well, I'm leaving my wife because Terry said. No, Terry. But man, that's tough. But I also think that you just gotta have somebody that really sees the vision, that is really gonna support you. And or sometimes it's not for them to see the vision, it's for you to show them, right? Because you also got to think about your spouse being with you and they've seen you start, stop, be inconsistent and give up and all of that stuff. And then now you like, oh, I got this thing and I'm going to do this. And they like, was different from the last 5 things you did. Right. And so sometimes it's not on them to believe you, I feel. Sometimes it's on you to prove like, look, this is it for real. And I'm really going to be consistent here. And then once you show them, then they can be like, okay, I'm on board. I support you. Right. And so I think that's kind of a balance. But then also, you know, you go to some stuff and they say like you're laying with, I don't want to say the devil, but you know, you're laying with a person that just like could be really detrimental to you. So I mean, you got to figure out what works for you in that sense, right? But I mean, having a supportive spouse, a supportive person, that's next level. Okay, for you, right? That is really next level. Having someone to speak life into you, having someone that believes in you, someone that supports you as an entrepreneur. If you're dating somebody, you know, they become your assistant. They become your assistant. So, yeah. So
I know for me, I was telling you earlier, like I'm an idea person, right? And I firmly believe, so I've been with my wife almost 11 years, and every idea that we've executed on, it's going to the next level because of being able to bounce ideas off, right? Being able to like sit and have a mastermind session, and you know what I mean? And so having that significant other does really help, especially if they believe in you, especially if they see, you know, they can, you know, help you to expand your vision, right? And like I said, when you said frequency, it took me to that space of my spouse. Yeah. And so,
man, it's definitely good to be able to have somebody to support you and believe in you, right? And then it's just like you get to the point to what they don't. So then what do you do? Right. I think that's a tough conversation to have, right? And then sometimes, like, I remember, I don't know what to say if it's true or not, but I remember having a conversation with my cousin, and he was telling me about that sometimes, like, you have a girlfriend and you make it and all of that kind of stuff, and like people will leave their long-term girlfriend and move on once they make it to a certain level. And we was having a conversation. His perspective was just like, and that goes when everybody's not ready to go to the next level. Yeah. So just because you're with this person and you make it there, their mindset could still be from the past, or so much damage been done in your relationship that now that you're exceeding or excelling, that they're still breaking up the old stuff and they're still bringing you down. Is it just like, how do you leave that situation when you feel like, I think we put a lot of emphasis on time.
Yeah.
I've been with this person for 10 years.
Oh, yes. There's too much emphasis on time.
And it's just like, you'll be with somebody for 10 years and it just like haven't been the best, but then you'll get with somebody for 6 months to a year and it'll be like, oh gosh, like I never experienced nothing like this. So I think that we have to stop putting so much emphasis on time spent with people and just start realizing like what's really beneficial for you and like the betterment of your life.
Yeah. Me and my wife talk about that a lot. So I was married previously, and I talked about this before, where like at one point my ex-wife was like, why can't you just be a worker, be like everybody else? Because that's what she grew up in. She grew up in like, hey, get a job, do a sustainable thing, get a retirement, whatever. Like, you don't need to be all extra. I'm extra. I'm a leader. I'm an entrepreneur. I want to be in the conversations. You feel me? And so I remember in that moment, I was just like, whoa, if that's who you think I'm going to become, then this ain't it. And so, and granted, it lasted longer, but as time went on, like that became a point of contention. And so, you know, we finally split up, and obviously I'm with my wife now, and that has made a single point. My life has quadruple 10x'd in the 2 years I've been with my wife now. You know, like, bought 2 houses in California, of all places. Still know how to do these things, making things happen. You know, she can tell me she's tired, and I'm like, hey, I know you're tired, but there's this mixer that we got invited to. She was like, you know, she'd be like, all right, let me put my clothes on, let's go. Yeah. You know, and to have that ride, like it motivates you, because it's like, oh, you're not having to have that worry in the back of your mind. I think a lot of entrepreneurs have to worry about, because like, oh, I don't want to do too much because then I don't want people to feel like I'm neglecting or this or this or this, rather than like, let me go hard for these 5 days and I'm gonna give you this Netflix Saturday or something like that, right? And so, but those are like, it's communication. It's all about talking. Hey, I need to do this, this, and this, but I need you to communicate me when you need a little hour of just like straight up you time, turn the phone off, what's up? And then that way I can get back to work because it's for us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's super dope. So can I ask you?
You could ask anything you want, Terry.
I
think he might be one. I think he might be one of the first guests that asked questions. Yeah.
Like in that realm of you like being with someone, being leaving, because I think that again, people put a lot of emphasis on time.
Yeah.
Or people are scared to start over.
Mm-hmm.
Right, starting over is scary, especially when you get older in age. Right. What gave you the courage to be like, you know what, this ain't working?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times we stay in situations because we're scared to start over.
Oh, yeah.
We're scared of the unknown, or we put the emphasis like, oh, we've been together 8 years. Try to go out there again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we have people and that you guys have an audience that may be listening that can be really helpful for us.
Yeah.
Like, what made you be like, you know what? I can't do this.
Yeah. So we were married 11 years, 3 kids. So we had 3 kids together. And I always tell people she was a good wife. She took care of the house. My kids were loved more than anything. You'll never hear me badmouth any of that. But we were on 2 different frequencies, like you said. There was a big gap to how we had grown up. I'm very non-confrontational. Sometimes there was confrontation that just, you know how it is. And so also just as far as like the feeling. So, one of the things that happened was I wrote down how I felt in my phone. I was kind of going through it. I wrote down in my phone and I said, I'm going to revisit this 2 or 3 months. Maybe I'm just having a bad day. Maybe I'm having a bad week.
Yeah.
And there were some things that happened that kind of validated those feelings. And so we had a conversation. I said, man, this is kind of where I'm at. And we tried to work on it a little bit. And then eventually we were just both honest. I was like, let's just be honest. Like, we don't need to stay here just because of our children. Let's be honest with them. Because I don't want the example to be that I'm going to stay in an unhappy place just because of time. Right. Is it going to be hard? And then there was a lot of crying at the beginning. My kids did not like me very much at the beginning, because it was Dad's fault.
Yeah.
And that, me and G had a lot of conversations about that. And even the counselors at school were like, just be patient. Mm-hmm. It will all buff out. And it has, we're 3, I think I'm 3.5 years or 4 years, maybe, I think, into it. And it's like, it has buffed out, but it was hard because there's the single most thing I can say, relieve yourself of the judgment of others.
Really?
That's what gets people. Yeah. That's what gets people. It's the judgment that comes from everybody else. Oh, you got divorced. Oh, you got 3 kids. Oh, you gave up and started over. Oh, we on social media, everything was great. And now all of a sudden, it wasn't. No, you don't live my life. And that comes with everything. I had a conversation with someone very close to me recently about not drinking anymore. I stopped drinking about a year ago. And so, no, correct. No, get some shots. Hey, I'm more than open to coming. I'm just going to get me a unsweet iced tea. But the question was like, how did you do that? And I said, I had to relieve myself of social pressure. And even if that's your significant other, like this person was like, well, I like to have a drink with my husband. I said, that's the problem, is he has a drink. And then so you feel as though you need to have one. Let him enjoy his drink. You can enjoy something else. You don't have to, but once you relieve yourself of social pressure or the expectations of others, you can fly higher than anything else.
Oh, that's
like clip that up.
Listen.
So I got this from a friend too. So I'm all about supporting a small business just like us. So my boy put online, hey, we got T-shirts. I said, bet. Went to his website, ordered it in 10 minutes. Yeah. Like that's the type of support we should see more of.
Sure.
And everybody like to talk it, but action.
I think what you said was really dope, and I think that goes to life, and then that really speaks to entrepreneurship, right? And then my realm of like content. People are afraid to make content and post content because they think of like, what are other people going to say? Right?
Yeah.
how am I going to look? How are people going to judge me? What if I don't get enough likes? What if I only get 2 likes?
Yep.
People are going to look at this and judge me and be like, oh, this. And so I think that we are afraid of judgment from the outside world.
Yeah.
And because of that, it really restricts us from like being the best who we can be. So I think what you said is really, really important because people are afraid, like, hey, if I get a divorce, what everybody gonna say?
Yeah.
How am I gonna look?
Yeah.
I don't want to be judged. What my family gonna say?
Yeah.
And just like the scrutiny of what we think other people are going to say, right? And that's like the what's the word I'm looking for? Just the image that we have of ourselves that
That's our
we
crutch.
are afraid of what other people we assume what other people are going to say about us before they even say anything, right? And so self-image,
self-image.
right? That's what I'm trying to say. And so I think that was very powerful of what you said, and I hope that anybody listening really like take that and like really think about that because we can do so much
Yeah.
if we don't worry about what other people are going to say.
Right. Facts.
Because that clutches us. That stop us from doing and being the best that we can be. Because we afraid, like, man, he going to say this.
Yeah.
He was this about me if I do this. I don't want them to say it, so I ain't going to do this.
Yeah.
But even to circle back to what you were saying in the beginning as far as the community, I think that when you have a supportive community or like-minded individuals, when you're going through life like that, you go back to your circle, like those conversations can be had, right?
Yep.
Because if everyone's on the same positive wavelength or positive frequency, right, you can go into that environment. Like I was reading something the other day about leadership, and it was talking about how leaders create the environment. And the same thing, like I feel like as a man of my home, let's say, or I would just use Ken in his situation, or that example, Ken being the leader of his home, right? The communication needs to be effective, right?
Yeah.
He has to be self-aware enough to understand how he's feeling, and his way of communicating to self was to kind of, put it on his iPhone. But at some point, the conversation was had. But if he was not self-aware enough as that leader to make those adjustments, things could have gone, south quick.
For sure.
Right. And I think that we overlook that as leaders, as entrepreneurs, that when we step into the room, that energy, that we control that frequency. Right. And so kind of going back to the community and tying it into the experience, the entrepreneur experience.
Yes.
I want to hear about this.
She's good at the pauses. He's like, I want to hear about it.
Great segue. So I'm real big on education as far as like I don't know it all. And if I want to make as much money as I want to make or get to a level that I want to get to, there's something that I don't know that's stopping me from getting there. So I always just I travel for conferences. Atlanta a lot. I'm in Atlanta a few times a year going to some type of conference.
We have to text him, be like, hey, where we going?
Let's go. Right? That's another thing about the community why I started it, because we would go to places together.
Yeah.
A lot of times what stop people from going is because they want to go by myself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm at investments by myself, solo.
We wanted to go 2 years ago.
Yeah, so I'm traveling by myself, going to events. And so one of the things about the community is like, we'll go together. All right, it's fabulous. We go get some tickets and get rooms, and we'll go together. That makes it easier to go to places, right? But I'm always trying to go because I want the education, because like I said, there's something that I don't know. But it gets to a point to where that becomes really expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Facts.
People living in Atlanta, they get a ticket, spend $200-$300, and they just pull up.
Yeah.
I got plane tickets, hotels, I gotta get this, I gotta get that. So this $200 conference turned into $1,500. That's quick. So I'm like, how are we gonna do that here?
Yeah.
Nobody's doing it here.
Nobody.
And so I'm like, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And listen, when I tell y'all, and this is something I always say, start before you're ready.
Yeah.
Because you'll never fully be ready.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I got a couple $1,000. I'm about to put this together. I don't know where I'm having that. I don't know how it's gonna happen. But I've made so many connections with different, like, big time influencers that I'm like, I need a favor.
For sure.
can I get you to come to the Bay and help me put on this conference?
Facts.
And people was like, yeah, I hit the Pimp 500. He was like, it's good, T. Yeah, Nikki Sanders, she was like, I see you. You part of my community. I'll take care of you. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so even like times I brought out David Shands or Monty Woodard or Ellie Talks Money, like I brought all of them to the Bay, and they all like showed me love because I've always worked with them and I showed them love.
Yeah.
And so you got to give support to give it.
100%.
And so because I've given support to a lot of people, they're willing to like help me.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I want this to be like the summer jam for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I've just reached out to the people and they said yes. I'm like, all right, I ain't got all the money right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you some money
Yeah.
to hold this date.
Correct.
We work it out. And so everybody been supportive. And so I just, like I said, I just think that education, as we was talking about it earlier, like people here kind of behind, especially with social media, right? There's an app called MiniChat. Have you guys heard of MiniChat?
I have not.
So just think of like, all right, if I make a post and I'll be like, all right, comment the word ticket and I'll send you a link. It's an automation, right?
Correct.
It's called MiniChat and Mini MANY chat.
Okay.
So stuff like that I learned from going to a conference in Atlanta.
Yeah, the community.
But you bring that, I've mentioned that to people and they were like, what's that?
Yeah.
But it's just like, instead of telling people, oh, click the link or oh, go to my bio, you have to make the selling process the easiest possible.
100%. Make it easy for it. Yes.
Make it easy for it.
That's
Yeah.
how
So
you
if
do
I'm
it,
telling you to, hey, go to my profile, click the link, go on the website, buy a ticket, in that process, you're going to lose people.
Yeah.
But if I got an automation where all you got to do is comment the word ticket,
Yeah.
and I'm going to send you the link to your DM, and all you got to do is open it, and it sends you directly to the website to where you can just buy right there.
Facts.
That makes it much easier for people to buy. Stuff like that is what we need to learn or know about as entrepreneurs that we don't.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I've learned that from going to different conferences and stuff like that. So just little stuff like that is what I want to bring back to our community to help us as entrepreneurs so we can grow and scale our business.
Yeah. Getting in the game, man. I mean, like Eric Thomas said, information changes situations.
Man.
Oh, is that where you got that from?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just put financial.
I was like, geez, such a philosopher. You're a fraud. I don't even know you. No, I know.
After you say it 3 times,
It's yours.
It's yours.
It's yours.
So, because I do a lot of financial stuff, right? So I have financial information changes situations.
Mm-hmm.
Same concept, right? Put any work before that. But more importantly, information does do that. And I feel like as entrepreneurs, so many people want to get to that next level or be whatever that level of success is like today. But they're not willing to put in the work to learn and grow their skill set.
They want to start at the finish line.
For sure.
Yeah.
People want to start at the finish line.
With July 26th,
So July 26, 27, 2-day event, man. I want to make an experience. Education, networking, entertainment.
Yeah.
So I got Russell performing.
Yeah. He's on tour right now.
Shout out to Russell. Listen, I met him at an event he was speaking at, and I just talked to him, and then we worked it out, and he was like, Nick, if you've never seen him perform, like, the energy he gives is so dope. So I just wanted to make this an overall experience of, like, education. We having main speakers, we having breakout rooms, different things like that, government contracts, content, branding, AI, business funding, business credit, stocks. Like, so we're having a bunch of educational things like that. But then we also got Mr. Fab, the area legend, coming to speak. We got Russell performing. Little inside, I ain't told nobody yet. I'm in talks with a comedian and trying to get him to come perform. Right? I was watching a podcast one time, and the guy was just like, if you're going to go to a big conference, like, you got to think about how to make it dope.
Yeah.
He was saying that he went to a conference and they brought somebody to the conference that was the world's greatest pickpocketer. Nothing to do with the conference, but add a different component to it.
Correct.
So the guy get on stage and he's who's such and such, naming off people.
Yeah.
He done took their wallets, they watches, and all of that kind of stuff while he going through the crowd.
And they didn't
even realize it. So he gets on stage naming people like, yeah, I'll take your wallet, right? And so that component is just like, oh my gosh. Like that's just, even though you're coming here for podcasting, but this component is added to it and it just adds to the experience. So my thing is just like, I want people to come and be educated and learn. Like I'm all about actionable steps. When you leave here, I want you to be able to take this, implement this in your business, and you see a change.
Facts.
But obviously, all day sitting down, people just talking at you, can become overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how can I add a little?
You got to break up the monotony.
Break it up. So like, how can we add some entertainment to it to where people be like, this was fun, this was dope. So that's the experience part of it. So like I said, educate, network, entertain.
Yeah.
Relationships are the most important thing in business.
Facts.
Right? We now are connected. We got a great relationship now. So
you would hope.
Hope so. Right? I leave out this room and y'all be like, man, he ain't gonna even hear his episode. But
I'm a funny guy.
Who you know is more important than money, because that connection
100%
you have, sometimes you can't get it. Money can't buy that connection.
100%.
And so I want people to be able to really network, because there's going to be a bunch of people there that you don't know.
Yeah.
It can be an investor. It can be your next business partner. It can be your next podcast partner.
Yeah.
So anything can happen. And so that's one of the another things I want. The networking, the educational, entertainment.
Yeah.
I think people often overlook the experience. It's funny that you mentioned experience, because probably 15 minutes before you came up, Kim and I were talking about that. We were really specifically, we were talking about like from the podcast, the business to different things. Like we want to make sure that we're creating experiences for people and not just showing up, right? Not just having them show up. And about a year ago, actually it was right before January 2024, I remember talking to Cam. It was just like, hey, I want to do like a podcast, very similar to the entrepreneur experience, what it sounds like. And what I was telling was I don't want to just do an event. Like I want it to be an experience, right? Yeah. So one of the things that I can say that I appreciate about Kim is that intentionality about everything that we do. We want to create that experience for folks locally. Going back to what I was saying earlier, like you just never know what people are going through and how that moment could change their life.
Yes.
And so if we could scratch the surface or kind of help create that platform, whether through the podcast or through business or whatever, I'm for it. I'm for it. So I take my hat off to you, man.
Thank you, man.
That sounds like a lot.
You never know what the inspiration is too that you're going to give someone. So like that same person I was talking about when it was like asking about the drinking stuff, I was also like, I woke him up early, kind of. I was up and they were like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm up, 6:00. It's time to get to work." And they were like, "Oh," and I was like, "I'm gonna go." And I was like, "Or you could just get up and we go on a walk and get a coffee, and then your day started before you've ever started it before." And then we spoke 2 weeks later, and they were like, "I've been getting up early every day, ever since we left. You motivated me to like really get it going." There's like one day, like I said, I'm like, "You can have a day, sleep in one day. I sleep in 1 day a week or 2 days a week." Shit, man.
I've been found in the circle.
Well, that's the thing. Like true. People are gonna see what you're doing, and they're gonna be like, "Wow, like Terry's doing it." And you asked about the kind of stuff earlier. Is people are watching no matter you know it or not.
Right.
I mean, I can't tell you how many people like I talked to that I haven't talked to in a while, and they haven't liked anything. They ain't commented on nothing, but people are just like, "Bro, you're killing it. Like you and G, I don't know how you guys do it. Yeah. I see everything," and I'm like, "What? Like." Drop a damn like them folks. Drop a like, drop a comment. But people see it, right? And for instance, that's how you got here. The consistent, you're just like, oh, these are one of the only guys I see that's actually doing it. We never talked before this, we're because of a guest that we had already, it created that relationship now, and it's just like those little wins every day. Yeah, people just like we're too big on like these big wins every day, and it's like, bro, if you're just consistent with not only your intentionality, but the experience that you provide people is going to be dope.
Yeah, I think you said something now super dope, and it's just like people that hire me to help them with their content, because that's like my main thing. Like people hire me to, I have content creation days. So people hire me, I come in with them, we shoot content for like 3-4 hours. I edit it, I give it to them, they have it to post, right? Majority of people who hire me, I don't see them in my comments on my life.
Yep.
But they be like, oh, I've been watching.
It's some creepos.
And I want to hire you to help me with my content. And I'm like, that thing, I ain't never seen like a comment on nothing. So I think what you're saying is just like always know that people are watching.
Yeah.
Right. And so I just think that's very big. Being consistent, knowing that people watching you, and that's how you gonna make it.
Man.
For sure.
Well, that was a video I sent you guys. I don't know if you watched it yet, but it was Alex Hermazi. That's what he talked about. Is he was like, they made a shift in their company strategy because, you know, there's 3 types of content. There's entertainment. There's education or any whatever. It's education and entertainment, and then there's just edutainment. And so he was saying that, you know, that the entertainment, although it was likes and whatever, that was not equating to actual business or relationships. And what you find is that dopamine spike, people just want more entertainment. And then when you do the edutainment stuff, it's like, oh, it gets like a little better. Ultimately, making the shift to just really educating people, because people who want to be educated are going to want to work together. And that's the difference, right? And not everything is like, I want to make money off it. But for those of us who are in this space, educating, as you talk about, and I really appreciate, is that's the biggest way to prosper.
Yeah.
Help people be better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really big on that.
Yeah.
We often talk about the value piece. And I think that just being, you know, just going through my military experience, I've seen so many like check the box things, like, especially from a leadership perspective, of just like, we're just going to do this. We're just going to do this. And I found that, you know, the value pieces, you know, again, that's the thing that connects you and build the relationships or strengthen the relationship. And that's, to me, that's what it's about, man. I'm always about, I've often talked about, like, I feel like my purpose in life is just simply to have value.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right. And so every project that I have my hands involved, it has to connect to that thing. Right. And so when I looked up the entrepreneurial experience, I was like, this looks dope, man. Like, and I looked you up. I was like, I could see he's a real thorough dude. You know what I mean? And so to kind of small talk with you prior to the recording, just to kind of see where you're at, where your heart is at, where your mindset is at. I think I'm excited to see what the rest of 2024 brings for you, man.
Oh man, listen, I have big plans. So I definitely want to make this a yearly thing. Like I said, what really started me into this space, or like really got me connected, was Are You Leisure?
Yeah.
So when they first started, I was a big fan. They had an episode, they broke down the USC scandal.
Yeah.
When all the rich parents was paying to get their kid there and saying that they were paying squash and all of that kind of stuff like that. And they broke that down. I'm like, oh, this is dope. And that really got me started listening to podcasts. Yeah. And then I joined their community. And when they first started, like, to think about how big they are now, when they first started and you was part of their community, we used to have hour-long FaceTime conversations once a month.
Okay.
And I was paying like $20, $40 a month to be a part of their community. Yeah. And I'm literally FaceTiming them. We literally talking and all of that. So I built that relationship with them. So like when they come out here, they'll call me, Terry, I'm coming out here. We need security. We need this. We need that. How can you help? Do that, right? So I built that relationship with them. And so it just comes from building, as we was talking about, relationships and stuff, right? So they got me into the space of like listening to podcasts and investing in myself and all of that. And so like that's just been a game changer for me, right? And being able to connect. But then that also goes to how we was talking about like giving value. Yeah. They was delivering and giving so much value and connecting and building with people when they first started off that now they so big. It's just like next level, right? Yeah. And so my vision is to be like, I want this to be like the best. For the West Coast. For the West Coast. Yeah, we need that here, right? And so, like I said, I want this to get to the point to where we've written out the Coliseum. Yeah. Y'all on stage interviewing. Right. Y'all on stage. You feel me? Y'all on stage, like we got a component in, y'all interviewing whoever, somebody
Yeah.
big time, right?
Facts.
Oprah sitting there interviewing her, something
ready.
like that,
Can I get a
So
call,
I just
Oprah?
want I just want it to be that level because I think it's an opportunity for all of us.
Yeah.
For things like that to be here. And one of the things someone told me was just like, if you start making noise, people are going to start listening.
100%.
People are going to be like, oh, I'm hearing something. I'm hearing good things about this stuff in California. A lot of people don't come up here because they feel like no money.
And that's not even just in the civilian space. So, like the Air Force Base where we're near right now, I talked to their development people and they've said the same thing is like, there's a lot of big time retired military folks. They do all this stuff on the East Coast. You hardly ever see anything on the West Coast. And it's expensive.
Yeah.
It costs more to bring people out here there, stuff like that. And so, but grassroots, like what we're doing, I just hop in my car.
Yeah.
You don't got to pay for my hotel. Like, just bring us in. Let's make it happen. And with like the Learn Your Leisure community, the big thing with that is they appreciated the support you gave them. So they reciprocated it. That's another thing you don't see enough of is the reciprocation of respect when it comes to supporting one another.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really dope. And I think that's like really true. Or like you said, we just have to start doing.
Yeah.
Right. And one thing I've heard you guys say, like you guys both are executors.
Yeah.
People need to be more executors. A lot of people,
So,
a lot of people are ideas. I got this great idea. And I try to tell people, listen, I don't want to talk about your idea. I want to talk about how we can improve
Make
your
it happen.
execution.
Yeah.
You tried this, and then you come to me and be like, well, I've tried this and this. It ain't really working. How can I make it better?
Yep.
Don't come to me with the idea of, I want to start this, and now I got to be part of the plan.
Hey, Terry, how do I do this? Hey, Terry, let's make this happen. Oh, man.
Yeah.
That
was another conversation.
Yeah.
So we feel you 100%.
Yeah, try it out. See what it is first, and then let's talk about it, right? And so you guys, like in the conversations that we had, like, and you guys kept saying this line about you guys are executors, and I see that. And those are the type of people you want to be around.
100%.
I'd love to be around other people to where, we can talk, but then it's like, all right, so next week we gonna meet and we gonna do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, yes. Like that goes to the environment, right? Because that's the only way we gonna build and have the success that we want is by doing.
Yeah.
Everybody talk. Everybody got a good idea. Everybody want.
Yep.
But if you ain't gonna put the work behind it.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too is like, if you are an idea person, be okay playing your role.
Yes.
And be able to be a follower.
Yeah.
It's like if you understand, hey, I'm not an executor, but I'm 100% okay with taking the orders to execute. I'm cool with that. I'm like, hey, as long as you at the meeting every day and I say I need you to do this and you understand that, I'm cool. But if it's like, oh, we should do this, well, you need to do. I don't want to do all that.
Yeah.
This conversation is over.
I always say I'm okay with being Scottie Pippen to Jordan.
Facts.
I'm okay with being Klay Thompson or Draymond Green to Steph Curry.
Nah.
Because Scottie Pippen got 6 rings.
Facts.
Just like Jordan.
Yeah.
Right? Klay Thompson got 4 rings just like Curry. So you don't always have to be the leader.
Yes.
And I think that's where a lot of people fail at because they always want to be the one in charge.
Yeah.
And it's just
Heavy lies the crown.
and I attest that to like us growing up in the Bay Area. A lot of us, especially growing up in Oakland in the streets, our parents sold drugs.
Yeah.
Mom, dad, auntie, like everybody around you was either own them or sold them.
Yeah.
And because of the streets, like you was taught the mentality of you can't trust people.
Yeah.
Don't let your right hand know what your left hand doing and stuff like that. You can't trust people because they are backstab you and all of that. So we got that embedded into our mind. And so now as we grow up and become entrepreneurs, we still think that way.
Yeah.
But when you older and you're an entrepreneur, you can't think that way because you can't do this.
You got to relinquish a little bit.
You can't do that. And so we have to get over the mindset of thinking that we have to do it alone or get over the mindset thinking that we got to be the man that's the one in charge.
Yeah.
I'm okay with taking a back seat, right? And I'm okay with that in the sense of like, you may know more. I want to do a podcast. You guys got the blueprint.
Yeah.
Show me the way.
Yeah.
I'll listen. I'll follow. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, facts.
Right? You know more than me, and that's okay. Like I don't know everything. Right. And so I think that us as entrepreneurs, we have to understand that. Like we don't always have to be the one in charge. And everybody ain't built to be number one.
Yeah.
Right.
Most
That's
people
facts.
aren't built to.
Yeah, like being number one is hard.
Yeah, bruh.
Like what? I would sit me in the back. Give me some less work. Listen, what you need me to do? Got you. So yeah, I definitely think that is a big component to it. And so, like I said, I'm fine with being Scottie Pippen.
There you go.
Let me get there.
Yeah.
So we gonna win together.
Facts.
We gonna win.
At the end of the day, I stick it was up.
Yeah, win. Yep.
So as we wrap up, you want to ask your question?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So life, love, leadership. 3 words, 3 powerful words that impact life. Life, love. No, I'm just kidding. Life, love, leadership.
Life leadership.
Pick one of those words, right? And just speak whatever's on your heart to our audience. We have some, obviously our audiences from entrepreneurs to, fathers, mothers, aunts, all of that. So one of those words and just speak life into the mic.
Life, love, leadership. So pick one of those and speak about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can't say all you are. But
I would say leadership. I think that I think a lot of people want to be leaders, but they don't know how. But I think that leadership is very important because somebody has to guide the way. But also in being a leader, like one thing I've heard was like, you can't be a prophet in your own city, something like that. And it's because people see you stop, start, quit, fail. And then once you start doing some consistency, they not really fully believing in anything anymore. But I think leadership is something that people don't talk about enough. And as the leader, you'll get a lot of scrutiny. So people don't want to be the leader because they're scared of what people will say, going back into what we were talking about earlier.
yeah.
So I think leadership and learning how to be a leader is very important because somebody has to lead, somebody has to guide, somebody has to show us the way. And I think that if we have more leaders in our community to teach and show us that we can all exceed more, excel more, right? Our community isn't going to make it or keep thriving if we don't have any people to show the way.
Yeah.
So I want us to get out the me mentality and get into the we mentality and like really start pushing and developing leaders and develop leadership so we can all thrive in this community space.
Terry, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for blessing the Elder Perspective audience, Kim and I and our team with their presence, man. July 26th and 27th, the Entrepreneur Experience.
Yes, sir.
Definitely look forward to supporting that, being there, being present, and yeah, hopefully packing up that house.
Buy your
So I say
tickets.
we're gonna pack it out.
Yes, yeah.
Buy your tickets.
So tell people where to find you. We always make sure we give everybody that comes on the podcast the opportunity because we appreciate you guys' time. So this is self-promotion time.
Self-promotion.
Where can they find you? Talk about the event one more time as we wrap it up. And then anything else you think is integral for people to get a hold of you and or use your services.
For sure. I am Terry Griffin on all platforms. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, website. I am Terry Griffin on every platform. Easy to be found.
Incorporated, dog.
You got to make it easy to be found.
Trademark, baby.
So I am Terry Griffin on all platforms. The Entrepreneur Experience, July 26th, 27th. Another tip for entrepreneurs, have an email and text list, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you text EMC to 55444, I'll send you a link that tells you about the event and where you can purchase a ticket, right? And that app is called Textiful, TEXTIFUL. If you don't have a text list for your business, then you missing out because people open text messages more than they open like emails.
Thanks.
Definitely get that. It's affordable. Start at like $15 a month. Text everybody at once. Yeah. But again, we're here to educate, entertain, and network. Get your tickets July 26th, 27th, the Entrepreneur Experience. It's the Summer Jam for Entrepreneurship, the biggest conference for our community ever. San Francisco, California. We are at the San Francisco Arts and Culture District Center. And so get your tickets. We're in San Francisco.
So that's where it's going to be at now?
Yes.
I know when we talked, you were like,
yeah. So we finalized it. We finalized the deal, and that's where we going to be at.
Hey, buddy. All right. Well, that being said, G, lead us out, and then we'll be good.
Yeah, for sure. So again, everyone, thank you guys for tuning in. There's been some negatives that Terry dropped on you. If you're in a space of entrepreneurship, a space of leadership, a space of just adding value to people, definitely reach out to Terry. Be there, San Francisco, July 26th and 27th. Pull up. Look forward to connecting with you guys. But with that being said, we appreciate your time.
We will see. Peace. Bye. All right. What's good, John?
What's going on, guys? Hey, welcome back to season 2 of the L3 Perspective.
You know, life, love, and leadership is definitely the lens through which I see the world. So I am very grateful to be in an environment with like-minded individuals that are speaking the same language, that are talking the same talk.
What I was telling G is I want to be a master of it, though. I want to study this art of speaking because, yeah, I'm good at it, but I want to be a master of it.
There's a difference between when you're good at something and great at something.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, love, share. These conversations are the ones that really affect everyday life for all of us. And ultimately, we do this for you to begin with. Keep listening. We appreciate y'all who are rocking with us into season 2. Because like I said, we do it for y'all.